Good evening. This is the News Tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell, and our focus tonight is, of course, on visiting Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena, who has, in fact, signed 4 major agreements with India today. What's in it for India and Sri Lankan ties for the future? We'll be discussing that with a special guest, as well as stories from India and around the world over the next half hour. But first, the headlines we're tracking right now. Fresh impetus to India-Sri Lanka ties as visiting Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena holds talks with Prime Minister Modi, agree to cooperate on civil nuclear energy, among other things. The PDP and the BJP look to iron out hurdles towards formation of a government in Jammu and Kashmir. 11-point charter of demands set by PDP to be the centre of negotiations. Wholesale price index for January dips on the back of falling fuel prices, but food inflation climbs further to 8%. Egypt bombs Islamic State targets in Libya hours after the group published video showing beheadings of 21 Egyptian Christians. And the first shock of the Cricket World Cup. Ireland stunned West Indies in their Pool B match in Nelson, chasing down a 304-run target. Top story this evening, India and Sri Lanka are to cooperate on use of civil nuclear energy, besides enhancement of economic and cultural ties. 4 agreements were signed after visiting Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi today. The landmark visit by the new Sri Lankan President is seen as an opportunity for both sides to rescript and reboot ties.
A ceremonial state welcome to the new man in charge in Sri Lanka as India looks for a fresh impetus to strategic economic and cultural ties that had turned frosty in recent years. The fact that President Sirisena's first overseas visit is to India itself indicates the importance he is willing to give to the relationship, an opportunity to set fresh directions. The External Affairs Ministry laid out great expectations from the visit.
We expect as close and friendly neighbors to discuss all aspects of our relationship. These include matters of an economic and commercial nature, matters which are unique to India and Sri Lanka in terms of our development partnership, and other issues of interest to both our countries.
After the customary Rajghat visit, President Sirisena and Prime Minister Modi held detailed talks on bilateral economic and cultural issues. The two sides promised to unlock the vast potential of economic cooperation, with India committing on being Sri Lanka's biggest trade partner and greater balance of trade. Besides agreeing to continue discussions on connectivity, fishermen and defence cooperation, the two sides have signed 4 agreements. The first on cooperation on peaceful uses of nuclear energy, an MOU on joint participation in the Nalanda University project, an MOU on cooperation in agriculture, and a 3-year program on cultural cooperation.
Bilateral agreement on civil nuclear cooperation is yet another demonstration of our mutual trust. This is the first such agreement Sri Lanka has signed. It opens new avenues for cooperation, including in areas like agriculture and healthcare.
In the last month since he took power, Sirisena has sent out signals of mending fences with Tamils alienated during Rajapaksa's rule and the civil war, and a slowdown in reaching out to China. From that, India has shown a keenness to take the relationship further. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, we're now joined by Alok Bansal. He's the Executive Director of the South Asia Interscholastic Association. Thank you very much for talking to us, Mr. Bansal. In terms of just understanding the importance of this visit for Indo-Sri Lankan ties, it is a change of guard that augurs very differently as far as how India and Sri Lanka had been at it in the past, during the past President Rajapaksa's term. This time, a sea change in ties that you expect?
Definitely. I think the way this election took place and President Rajapaksa was toppled, that itself had an Indian signature, and for quite some time the previous Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa had been inching closer to China at the cost of his ties with India, and he probably felt that by improving his relations with China, he could withstood India's pressure for taking cognizance of activities which were detrimental to human rights, where during the last stages of the war, Sri Lankan soldiers and politicians were found guilty of gross human rights violation, as well as his commitments to India made during the war, that there would be certain devolution under the 13th Amendment plus to the provinces. He was withstanding this pressure, and I think to leverage its relations with India, he was inching closer to China.
Right.
The way the new president has given a very clear-cut symbolic indication that his first overseas foreign visit has been to India shows that the new president gives enormous significance to his ties with India, and these economic agreements which have been signed will take Indo-Sri Lankan relations to a new level.
Right.
Because energy cooperation has been a very, very major facet.
Right, in fact, yes, I wanted to comment on that. The centerpiece of this entire conversation between and the agreement and the conversation between the two countries turned out to be the civil nuclear agreement. So tell us more about that.
Under this agreement, I think both India and Sri Lanka would be collaborating in the field of civil nuclear energy. As you know, Sri Lanka has reached a saturation level as far as energy production is concerned. It has virtually used up all its hydropower potential, does not produce any coal. Imported coal can support only a certain level of thermal power, power generation, and for a very long period of time there have been talks of integrating the Indian power grid with Sri Lankan power grid. There are differential consumptions of power during different seasons of the year, and a lot of people have been saying that this could be used to transmit power both ways, during different seasons. And I think with this sort of a cooperation, now we would see greater transmission security. I think in times to come, we are talking of connectivity. There has been a proposal which has been hanging fire for a long period, where we could build a land bridge from Dhanushkoti to Talai Mannar, because today we have a situation where the largest number of tourists visiting Sri Lanka are from India, and Sri Lankans of all ethnicity, all religious denominations visit India for pilgrimage, for health, higher education, and all their requirements. I think once we have improved connectivity, power grid connections, we will see greater economic collaboration. And as far as issues which have been contentious, like fishermen, those are the issues that need to be resolved, because those are humane issues. Most of the fishermen that have been fishing in Park Bay are subsistence fishermen.
Right.
They do not have sophisticated navigational gadgets to realize whether they are fishing in Indian waters or in Sri Lankan waters, and very often they have been captured and they suffer unnecessary persecution at the hands of security forces of the two countries.
All right, so a lot of issues between the two countries.
After this agreements have been...
Right, I just wanted to comment on the fact that you mentioned in the first answer that you gave about China and the strategic importance for India vis-a-vis Sri Lanka and therefore China. So if you could just tell us about that as well.
I think President Mahinda Rajapaksa, despite having said in the past that India is a relative and China is only a friend, had been inching closer to China. In the last few days, we saw 2 Chinese nuclear submarines coming and docking into Colombo Harbour, which was extremely detrimental to India's security interests. China was getting all the major contracts in Sri Lanka, including the expansion of the Colombo port. And one of the major steps which the new president has taken is that he has asked reviewing of this expansion of the Colombo port project. This has been done by the new Prime Minister, that is Ranil Wickremesinghe. And I think all these contracts which were awarded to China in the past 1 year and past few years would probably be reviewed by the new Sri Lankan government. And I think that shows that India now has an opportunity to get a level playing field as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, where Indian business can go and invest. And I think Indo-Sri Lankan relations economic ties which have been reaching new highs are bound to increase in days to come. And I think like Prime Minister Modi has been saying to foreign industrialists to come and make in India, I think a time has come for Indian industry to go and start investing into Sri Lanka and make certain products in Sri Lanka so that the balance of trade becomes more even between India and Sri Lanka. And whatever we do between India and Sri Lanka could be the role model for other SAARC states in times to come, and could be a very, very defining movement as far as our move towards SAFTA is concerned.
Absolutely, a very important point to make over there, and we leave it over there, but this certainly could augur more in terms of ties with other countries, other neighbors as well. But thank you very much, Mr. Bansal, for coming in and helping us understand Indo-Sri Lankan ties a little better. All right, moving on now onto Bihar, where in a jolt to the Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi today, the Patna High Court restrained his government from taking any policy decisions. The court said that Manjhi can only work on routine matters till majority is proven on the floor of the House. Meanwhile, the state leaders continued to engage in a verbal duel over the political situation in the state. BJP leaders alleged that Nitish Kumar had paraded what the party called bogus MLAs before the president.
The war of words continues in Bihar. On Monday, Chief Minister Jitan Ram Manjhi alleged that Nitish Kumar's camp was trying to frighten MLAs. He alleged that they were spreading rumors against him that he was conspiring with BJP to have president's rule imposed in Bihar. Manjhi also accused Nitish Kumar of parading bogus MLAs before the president.
राष्ट्रपति शासन लगाने का और असेंबली भंग करने का मेरा कतई ये भावना नहीं है। हम 20 तारीख को उस समय भी फिक्स किया था, महामहिम राज्यपाल ने भी फिक्स किया। उस दिन हम ट्रायल ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ को देखेंगे और विश्वास मत प्राप्त करेंगे।
The charge of the bogus MLAs was also taken up by BJP leader Sushil Modi as well. Calling himself a real contender for the Chief Minister's post, Modi said only a floor test can be a true trial of strength.
और अगर 20 तारीख को ऑलरेडी सदन आहूत है, समन किया हुआ पहले से, तो अगर उनके पास बहुमत है तो बहुमत सिद्ध करें। मांझी जी के पास अगर बहुमत नहीं है तो उनको अविश्वास प्रस्ताव लाकर हटा दें, या वो सिद्ध नहीं कर पाएंगे तो उन्होंने स्वयं कहा कि मैं इस्तीफा दे दूंगा, और फिर नीतीश कुमार बहुमत सिद्ध करें। अगर बहुमत सिद्ध करते हैं तो बनेंगे बिहार के मुख्यमंत्री।
इट्स वेरी इर्रेस्पॉन्सिबल political motivated campaign to link BJP or the Prime Minister of India to the Bihar crisis. We have no role whatsoever. These are all internal problems of the Janata Dal United, which is divided.
The Congress attacked the BJP, accusing it of conspiring to destabilize the JDU government.
बिहार में जो हो रहा है वो समस्या नहीं, षड्यंत्र है, और उस षड्यंत्र के मुख्य सूत्रधार भारतीय जनता पार्टी है.
Meanwhile, the JDU welcomed NDA ally Shiv Sena stand on the political situation in the state. In its mouthpiece Samna, Shiv Sena hit out at BJP for backing Manjhi in the state.
सारे क्षेत्रीय दलों ने नीतीश कुमार के रुख का समर्थन किया है, जिसमें अकाली दल, एनसीपी, समाजवादी पार्टी, बहुजन समाज पार्टी, टीएमसी और अब शिवसेना। हम सभी दलों का स्वागत करते हैं।
The Samna editorial said that by supporting Manjhi, the BJP will be endorsing a black era in politics, opening up a front against its own senior coalition partner in the state. It said for political gains, no one should back a person who has publicly said that he accepts commission. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to Kashmir, where the PDP and the BJP are working on a common minimum program for a coalition government in the state. Both parties are keen to put a new dimension in a dispensation in place before the budget session. But there's still much ground to be covered before this.
50 days after Jammu and Kashmir got a fractured mandate, the PDP and the BJP are injecting a sense of urgency into their talks to form a coalition government. But the road ahead is not easy. The BJP feels many issues still need to be ironed out.
It's important that all the issues are discussed, deliberated and ironed out before a concrete move is made towards government formation, and hopefully such a situation, a conclusion of these discussions will happen very soon.
The PDP has a 11-point proposal. The BJP is yet to agree on a few of these proposals. The PDP is seeking clarity on dialogue with Pakistan and the separatist leaders of Kashmir, removal of FSPA from the valley within a year, freeing land controlled by the army, status quo on Article 370, return of power projects, Indus Water Treaty compensation, free travel and trade between Kashmir and Pakistan occupied Kashmir, status quo on West Pakistan refugee settlement, coal mine allotment and return of jailed youths outside the state, among other things.
There are more areas of convergence now as a result of talks and informal talks than there are areas of divergence. But we have faith in our leadership to skillfully negotiate.
I think they can have consensus on this thing. They should be able to forge some consensus. But I think ultimately, I think the PDP line will have to prevail because I think politically, if you look at what happened in Delhi in the election, the BJP really doesn't have much bargaining power. And people of Jammu and Kashmir know that if BJP is not able to form the government in J&K this time, they're not going to ever have such a chance again.
The PDP has formed a 6-member team that will meet Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Tuesday. Jaitley is the BJP's negotiator for the government formation. In principle, the BJP has agreed for a 6-year term for Saeed, while the party will hold the post of Deputy Chief Minister, which is expected to be given to State BJP leader Nirmal Singh. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, time for a very quick break right now, but coming up on the other side, we'll be talking about the blame game that is continuing between the rebels and the government over ceasefire violations in the Ukraine. More on that on the other side.
India and Pakistan agree to talk. Hopes arise of a fresh thaw after months of cold vibes. How did the breakthrough come about and why now? Watch The Big Picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, the Congress on Monday claimed that Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan was involved in the 2013 education scam in the state. Congress leaders Kamal Nath, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Digvijay Singh and Advocate KTS Tulsi addressed a press conference in Bhopal. They accused the Special Task Force probing the recruitment scam of tampering with evidence. The Congress leaders alleged that the names of Chauhan and Uma Bharti were removed from an Excel sheet related to the scam. Claiming that the youth of the state had been cheated, the Congress demanded Chauhan's resignation to facilitate an impartial probe.
हमने तो आपके पब्लिक डोमेन में जनता के सामने बात डाल दी है और इसके आधार पर हम मांग करते हैं मुख्यमंत्री जी इस्तीफा दें और अगर मेरा शपथ पत्र गलत है तो मेरे खिलाफ कार्रवाई करें।
पहले भी कई सारे आरोप ऐसे ही किए थे, ऐसे ही लगाए मुख्यमंत्री पर और सब के सब आरोप गलत साबित हुए हैं, गलत सिद्ध हुए हैं। उसके भी सारे तथ्य जल्द जनता के सामने आएंगे।
Former Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Rao Sahib Rama Rao Patil, or R.R. Patil, who was diagnosed with cancer recently, passed away today. An NCP party spokesperson confirmed this news. In fact, Patil was admitted to Breach Candy Hospital a couple of months ago and had undergone surgery for cancer. Patil had become the Home Minister of Maharashtra for the second time after the Congress-NCP alliance won the 2009 Maharashtra Assembly elections. He was first elected to the Maharashtra Assembly in 1990 from Tasgaon and then won several elections after that. In 2004, he became the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra. More news from Maharashtra now, where there was an attack on a whistleblower activist. A veteran left leader, Govind Pansare, and his wife were shot at near their home in Maharashtra's Kolhapur city this morning. 82-year-old Pansare is a known anti-toll tax campaigner and was on a morning walk with his wife Uma when unknown attackers fired at them. Reports say there were two attackers on a motorcycle who fired at least 4 rounds at close range before running away. Pansare has fought for years against the state government's decision to charge citizens for road development. This is one of the several attacks on activists in the recent past. Leaders have strongly condemned today's attack.
आणि पोलिसांनी आता तातडीने 10 टीम्स तयार केलेल्या आहेत. हल्लेखोरांना पकडण्याचा प्रयत्न सुरू आहे. सगळी नाकाबंदी केलेली आहे. मी स्वतः एसपींना सांगितलंय की कुठल्याही परिस्थितीमध्ये तातडीने यांना पकडलं पाहिजे.
The wholesale price index declined to a 5.5-year low in January and stood at a negative 0.39%. The WPI plummeted on the back of falling prices of manufactured and fuel items. But a major cause for concern was food inflation that inched upwards.
For the second time in 3 months, the wholesale price index showed a negative growth of 0.39% in January, lower than 0.11% inflation recorded in December. Fuel and power contributed the most to the fall in the wholesale prices. Prices declined 10.69% in January against a fall of 7.82% in December. Petrol turned cheaper by 17.08% in January against 11.96% in December. Diesel came down 10.41% in January against 6.31% in December. Cooking gas prices fell 7.65% in January against 3.19% in December. Inflation in manufactured products also declined to 1.05% in January against 1.57% in the previous month. However, food items continue to show inflationary trends. From 5.2% rise in December, prices rose 8% in January, mainly pushed up by vegetables. Vegetable prices rose 19.74% in January compared to a 4.78% contraction in prices in December. Analysts feel that the negative WPI will bring little comfort to the consumers.
I see as a temporary phenomena because of the market forces, international, you see, the prices fuel determinate. But I think the relief to the poor man has yet to come. It has not, you see, something substantial.
The fall in the wholesale price index could increase demands for further interest rate cuts by Reserve Bank of India. But the central bank may not oblige, since it mainly focuses on consumer inflation that edged up to 5.11% in January compared to 4.28% in December.
While there was no let-up in food inflation, the plunge in petrol and diesel prices came on account of falling international crude oil prices. Petrol and diesel prices were hiked by 82 and 61 paise per litre on Sunday, reversing the downward trend of the last 6 months. Reporting from Delhi, Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
More news and updates from across the country and nationwide. In its first order since taking charge, the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi on Monday banned demolitions in the city. This is in line with the campaign promise that the party made. The government said it will replace slums with permanent structures and won't raise a single home. The 2-day-old government's order came after a group protested outside Kejriwal's home against the demolition of slums in Shahadra in East Delhi. The Trinamool Congress today retained both Bongaon's Lok Sabha and Kishanganj Assembly seats with huge margins in the by-polls, seen as a litmus test for its popularity in the wake of the CBI arresting several of its leaders in the Sarada scam and murmurs of dissidents. In Andhra Pradesh, the TDP retained Tirupati seat with a massive majority, dashing all hopes to the Congress to open its account in the Andhra Pradesh Assembly. A special Tata court has convicted extradited alleged gangster Abu Salim in the 1995 Pradeep Jain murder case. The special trial judge had completed the trial of Abu Salim, Mehdi Hassan and a builder Virendra Jam. This is the first judgment in a case involving Salim in India. Arguments for the quantum of punishment will take place on Tuesday. On to some international news now. Egypt bombed Islamic State targets in Libya hours after the terror group released a horrific video purportedly showing the beheadings of 21 Egyptian Coptic Christians. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi condemned the inhuman killings and vowed to avenge them. Sisi also declared a 7-day mourning.
Egypt strikes back against the IS targets in Libya. F-16 jets targeted IS camps, training sites and weapon storage areas. This after Islamic State militants released a video apparently showing the brutal beheadings of 21 Coptic Egyptian Christians. The video, bearing the hallmark of IS execution strategy, shows IS militants marching 21 captives, all dressed in orange jumpsuits, to a beach site which is apparently somewhere near Tripoli. After the 5 minutes video surfaced on IS Twitter handle, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi declared that Cairo would choose the necessary means and timing to avenge the criminal killings. He also advised against travelling to Libya.
إن مصر تحتفظ لنفسها بحق الرد وبالأسلوب والتوقيت المناسب للقصاص من هؤلاء القتلة والمجرمين المتجردين.
The beheadings the first by IS outside Syria and Iraq, has intensified international concerns. The incident raises possibilities of the IS having established a direct affiliate close to the southern Italy. One of the IS militants in the video also makes a direct reference to that possibility, saying that the group now plans to conquer Rome. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A day after the twin shootings in Copenhagen, Danish police today arrested two men who helped the gunmen in carrying out the attack. The suspected gunman, Omar Al-Hussein, was shot dead by police on Sunday after he attacked a free speech debate in a synagogue. Two accomplices have been charged with providing weapons. Officials are yet to reveal their names as they are to be produced in court. The head of Danish intelligence said that the attackers could have been inspired by the Paris shootings last month. Condolence ceremonies and candlelight vigils were held across Denmark for the two killed in the Sunday morning attacks. Now, the ceasefire agreement in Ukraine is in jeopardy as firing still continues in vulnerable areas. Although the fighting was reported to have lowered in intensity, shelling continued through Sunday, mainly in Luhansk region and Debaltseve. In other areas of Ukraine, the ceasefire was broadly observed. Meanwhile, monitors from the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe were denied access to the eastern border by separatists. A military spokesperson said Ukrainian troops had come under fire 60 times after the truce came into force. More international news and global buzz now. At least 10 people were killed and 30 others were injured when a female suicide bomber blew herself up at in a crowded bus station in the northeast Nigerian city of Damaturu. Witnesses said the assailant entered the motor park in the vehicle and blew herself up after positioning herself in a crowd outside a store. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack so far. The Italian Coast Guard has rescued more than 2,000 migrants in a major operation off the Libyan coast. The emergency rescue came on the same day Italy said it was evacuating staff from its embassy in Libya and suspending operations there. Last year, more than 3,200 people died while attempting to reach Italy by boat from North Africa. The United Nations has described the sea crossing as the most dangerous route in the world. The UN Security Council has urged Yemen's Shiite Houthi militia to cede power and negotiate to emerge from the crisis. The UN Security Council also demanded the release of President Hadi, Prime Minister Baha and members of former cabinet who are under house arrest. All 15 members of the council unanimously adopted a resolution drafted by Britain and Jordan. A cyber criminal gang with members from Russia, Ukraine and China is said to have attacked up to 100 banks and financial institutions worldwide in an unprecedented cyber robbery. A report from cybersecurity firm Kaspersky Lab estimates that $1 billion has been stolen in the attacks since 2013. The report also suggests that the attacks had taken place in 30 countries, including financial firms in Russia, US, Germany, China, Ukraine and Canada. Well, let's talk about cricket now, and it was rather in the World Cup, it was the Minnows who really had it up for the Giants today, as the West Indies were struck down by giant killers Ireland in their match at Nelson. Now, the Irish changed down 304 runs put up by the Caribbeans and won with 4 wickets in hand. Ireland's win centred around the batting efforts of Paul Stirling, who made 92 and Ed Joyce's 84 not out. Niall O'Brien made 72 not out. The West Indies attack was criticised for bowling short and fielding poorly. The Windies had made it to 304 for 7 in their 50 overs after stuttering at 87 for 5 at one stage. With this win, Ireland are well placed to qualify for the quarter-final stage.
For it and gets it well, very well.
That's the news tonight. Good night.